Hello everyone. We are students from IIFT Delhi. Today in this session we will be discussing about the form filling for the IIFT, the SOP questions that you need to answer before the PI shortlist. Here I am Yash Devan with my colleagues. Hello
Okay.
everyone. We are students from IIFT Delhi.
So,
Biswajit, you can continue.
am I audible to you guys?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Good evening. So I know it's been late, but this was the only slot where we can get all five of us in the same meet. So I am Biswajit Tripathi, and I come from a background of mechanical engineering. But right now, as you can see, I've shifted to an MBA in IB degree. So I have 2 years of work ex in L&T Technology Services and in the field of mainly plant engineering. And right now I am planning to take a major in strategy and consulting part. So Karan and Prince Mayank, you guys can introduce.
Good evening, guys. I'm Karan Vattamwar from IFT MBIV batch of 25. And I'm a chemical engineer at the core, and I'm a fresher. I don't have any relevant work ex per se. But as you can see, we have work ex and freshers of all calibers, of all backgrounds in here. So, apart from the form filling process, we are also open to any other general queries that you might have. We are here just to dispel that. Continuing with my colleague Mayank.
Sure. So, good evening, everyone, guys. My name is Mayank Kumar Yadav, and I've completed my electrical engineering from Government Engineering College in Surat, and post which I've work experience of 16 months with Torrent Power Limited in Surat, and so I decided to do MBA, and naturally we are in I'm in IFT, and I'm into the international business, so MBA in IB course of yours, and we are more than excited to have to solve your queries, and my colleague Prince will be taking forward from here.
Hi, I'm Prince Sharma, and I did my BSc from Shivaji College, University of Delhi, wherein I specialized in computer science. And after that, I joined MBA Business Analytics and currently pursuing at IIFT Delhi. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, guys. So I think we can move forward with the questions for the SOP form that the students might have received. To begin with, I wanted to say that uh, although there is not exactly any particular amount of weightage decided for the SOP, but yeah, it is very important and it is what drives your interview during the PI rounds. So although your answers directly do not carry any weightage, but the panelists in the interview might be evaluating you upon the quality of answers that you have written and the content you have written it in. To begin with, I wanted to start by saying that first you need to create the line of your profile, that what profile have you thought upon. For freshers, they might not be clear if they have chosen any field of uh, management that they need to continue their career into. But for people with experience, it is very important to have a clarity of thought as to what domain that they need to pursue after getting into management. So, for example, as I am a computer engineer and I had a work experience in the IT domain, I had thought upon lining my profile in the direction of product management. So, to keep the linearity in my profile, I answered all my SOP questions, keeping in mind the profile and the uh, domain aspirations which I had. So, it is very important that you keep consistency in your profile because that shows that you have a vision and you have clarity of thought. So, my colleagues can take over from here.
I think we can
Uh,
continue with the same order and Biswajit can
yeah.
continue.
So thank you, Yash. And I can see there are few questions about the interview part. And there was a question of weightage in final selection. So no, the SOP will not have any weightage in your final selection, but definitely it will play a significant role because 3,000 odd candidates and they won't be going through SOPs of everyone. So during the interview, they will be reading it and they will be going through the SOPs. So try to keep some hooks in all your answers so that you can expand on them. And coming to the first part, so there are three parts, right? Part A, part B, and part C. So part A is more about your biodata and what have you done before the MBA part, like your undergrad degree, your home address, and all those things. So part A is quite simple. And if you guys are facing any difficulties with part A, then you can shoot your doubts on the live chat right now. So we'll be answering them because we will be shifting directly to part 2 as part A is pretty simple to get. So are there any questions from part A? If not, then we will be moving to part B. So for PI and interview tips, we will be having it after 15 minutes because we have a target of completing the SOP part in 15, CV part in 15 minutes. So then we will be touching upon the points that you need to remember or that you need to consider during your interviews. Okay, so no questions from part A. So let's shift to part B. So in part B, your first question is the three things that you aspire for in your career. So last year it was a long and short-term goal, but this year they have specifically asked to mention those three things that you aspire for in your career. So what I would suggest is uh, plan it accordingly. So divide it into two part or three part, whichever is suitable for you. So if you are coming from a work background or if you are a fresher, so try to align your answers based on these two conditions. So first of all, divide it into short term, mid term, and long term because see, career goals cannot be the same in short term, long term, and mid term. So in short term, try to answer it in a way where you can show yourself that you are open to learn, that you are open to unlearn and learn new things in MBA because different background people will be there. So there will be a huge cohort and people from different uh, work background or different curriculum they have studied. So you will be sitting with CAs, you will be sitting with MBBS engineers, bachelor in commerce, so all sort of people. So try to focus the first part with your short-term goal and the second part with your mid-term goal, what you want to achieve after your college. And the third part should be your long-term goal, what you aspire in your career. Like at the end of the day, what do you want to be, where you want to be in your long-term career. So I have an example. So let me read it for you. So what you can say is in the short term, you mostly I like suppose I am answering my first question in the SOP. So in the short term, I want to focus on networking, learning as much as possible from the diverse peer groups, professors, and case studies. And then I am shifting to the long term and mid term part, which I have clubbed together. So to gain real business insights from the guest lecturer and industry veterans that visit the college and applying them in my professional journey, because in the midterm and long term I aspire to work and grow in a role that offer me opportunities in the field of strategy management or any field that you want to be in. If you are from a commerce background and if you want to go into finance, then you can say finance. And if you have a good amount of work ex and want to get into consulting, then you can say consulting. And then you can say that at the end I want to build my expertise in the long run in the field of whatever you want to take, and you want to grow in an organization and help them in critical decision making areas. So that's how you structure. So for short term, then mid term, and then long term. And if you want, you can align it with your past experiences, like your past work ex or whatever you have done in your colleges, so that further you can expand it. I hope it's clear. And coming to the second question of part B, where they have asked about the situation where you need to show innovation or creative method to solve a problem. In part A, there is a part where you have to list down your achievements and goals that you have achieved, maybe national rank or district level sportsmanship. So whatever there are, you can list them down. And if you are smart enough, then you can play it right. So divide your answer with a star framework. Like first, discuss the situation that you are in, then talk about the task, then about the action that you did, and then the result, like what you got in the final result, and connect it with your achievement part. See, if you have an achievement where you can show that you have got it with some innovations, or where you can say that you thought out of the box and that's how you got it, because definitely every achievement is at the end of the day is something where you did extraordinary than the participants or then all the competing students. So try to highlight that part, use a star framework, and keep it clean so that they can ask questions without the interviewers, they can ask questions without getting stuck in the jargons. So if you are from an engineering background, please don't use any such jargons. Keep it clean and use a star framework. I am repeatedly saying it, use a star framework so that it will be easy for them to read it and keep it in their mind, the interviewer's mind. So that's about the second question. Coming to the third question, I believe Mayank and Prince, anyone can take it.
Yeah, actually, for ambition, it's very pretty easy. Just have to define the ambition in the first part. What ambition actually means to you. So you can write something like it's a desire and motivation to continuously achieve like difficult goals, and then you can pick up with something which you have done in the past. Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, so you can specifically mention that. That's not an issue, but you have to back up something with like that you have taken some initiative in your college days, like you have done some startup, or you have been associated with your family businesses, which is kind of relevant to your ambition the future. So those kind of thing you can do. If your ambition is kind of little different, so you can back it up so that it can be a talking point. If they see it in your CV, mostly they won't, but if there is a chance, they can go through your CV, and if they kind of look at it, so if they find something interesting or there's an interesting initiative which you've taken, so they might ask some questions to you. So that's the only relevant thing here. Yeah, that's pretty much enough here.
Prince, I guess we have a question here. So I guess Jaideep is asking if you can list down your achievements of class 10th Math Olympics. So one more sanity factor that I would like to highlight. Please don't list down all your achievements below class 10th. You can start from class 10th because that is the base here. So everyone who are planning to highlight their achievements, make sure that they are either from class 10th or above. So
Uh,
Abhishek, I guess, is asking for an example of second question. So is it from part B, Abhishek? I guess, because part B I recently explained. See, for me, what I did was because I was in Supra SA, like the Formula Bharat team of my college. So I played it pretty nice. In my achievement, we have been the All India Rank 3 in design event, and I was the lead design engineer of my team. So I kind of made the flow in a streamlined manner. I first began with how I was dealing with the design part, and we were having a crunch of time. So due to which we used an agile methodology, and after that we kind of sourced out to local vendors, because large vendors will be taking time to manufacture your designed order. So I kind of went to local manufacturing shops, and it was quite cheap for us to manufacture our designs, and it was quite cost effective, and definitely we saved a lot of time in that part. So it was a kind of innovation in operations and procurement part, which I kind of showed during my days at Formula Bharat. So that's how I kind of related it. And at the end, the result was that our car was made in the stipulated amount of time. We had a good time to test run our car, and at the end, we were ranked 3 in all India.
Also, I would
Just
like to
to,
add a sanity check in this. So,
yeah,
whenever you are writing any answers or even you are answering any questions in the interview, always try to show a humble side of yourself. Like if you are writing about any achievements, or if you are mentioning any innovation, or if you are asked about any career goal, please do not mention anything about placements, or being getting into a CEO position. See, you can answer bit vaguely by saying you want to get into industry, you want to excel in your career, but please avoid using terms like placements, and uh, don't portray your achievement in an arrogant way. Try to be humble, because just remember, the professors sitting here are like experienced from 20 to 30 years. So we need to be humble in front of them.
Just to add on to your point, Yash, for example, if someone might consider, because everyone after reading the question thinks that this has to be something big in your life, or this has to be some kind of influence in someone's life or some event in their life. But uh, please understand that this is not uh, to be portrayed as your biggest achievement, or that or to measure the impact you have created. This is to show that you have put in efforts. It can be a ripple in water in someone else's eyes. Uh, I can imagine myself sitting as an aspirant looking at this form again. Then that is why I thought that this is one of the thoughts that can come to an aspirant's mind. It can be a task as small as changing some things in your project, that it changed your outlook, or you got some different insights from the teacher or from your colleagues. It can be as small as this, but you have to show that you have thought this through, and how you present it. It's actually just how you portray it at the end.
So we can carry on with part B, remaining part B and part C. If there are any questions from part B. So part B is done. We can shift to part C actually.
Okay,
Um,
so moving on to part C. The first question is, what is the biggest challenge or change that you have faced, and how did you cope up with it? So, to structure this answer, you should begin by explaining the situation in which you have faced the challenge. So, the situation should be clear enough so that the uh, panelist can identify what was the challenge that you faced in that situation. So, don't be vague. If possible, try to quantify whenever possible. So, you can use figures or more adjectives to quantify the situation in which you face the challenge. So first is you clarify the situation. Second thing is you mention the challenge which you faced in that situation. And third part should be how you tackled that situation, how you rose from that challenge and how you could tackle it successfully. And fourth part should be what were your learnings from it. So this should be the overall structure of the answer. So for example, I had worked in L&T Infotech. So one of the challenge that we had faced was we had a very high resolution time for some of our tickets. So quantifying the issue, we had to mention that this was the issue we faced. And the client was not very happy with this because it was increasing the SLA. So this is the situation and the challenge that we are facing. So how I got around with this was I analyzed what were the factors that was increasing the delay in the tickets, and how I devised a solution to reduce the turnaround time of the tickets, thus improving the resolution time. So this is how I resolved the issue or rose up to the challenge. And fourth part is what were my learnings from it, or what was the impact which it created. So I can portray the learnings from this as, because I was put in this type of situation for the first time, or because we did not have an experience in that particular technology, I got to learn this and it taught me thinking on my feet, or it taught me a new skill which I am using currently. So this is sort of structure you can follow for answering the question, what challenges you have faced. Or per se, any question if you are asked, you need to think in your mind what kind of answer is expected by the panelists, by the interviewers. So always remember to structure your solution in a way which is for which the panelists might like to hear. So this is the structure for the biggest challenge you have faced. Then second is, so one of the things I would like to mention here is many of the aspirants might be freshers, or even in their college days, they might not have any significant position of responsibilities or any internships. So you might ask that what would should you mention in such cases? So you can also mention some personal issues or personal challenges that you faced in your life. Let's say you faced a health situation, health issue in your life, and how you overcame that situation. So anything you can show which created a significant challenge in your life and how did you overcome it. So the structure can be challenge, how you overcome it, and what were your learnings from it or the impact that was created. So
Um,
are there
well,
any questions in this?
yeah, I can see one question from Abhishek. He wants to get some clarification regarding whether the answer which we are framing has to be only professional or is it only from the personal experience, something like that. So, with respect to the formation of answers, in part C, all the your managerial skill set is being assessed. So it need not be only from your work experience. So there could be candidates who are freshers straight out of from the colleges. So I believe during your formation of answers, there must have been enough number of incidences in your college or during your work experience where you just need to introspect all those events where you can come out with a story or something which comes out as something which you have contributed or which reflects problem solving. So one thing which someone has mentioned in the comment section is that, can I mention my position of responsibility in the undergraduation college? So explicitly mentioning as a POR is not something which they are looking for. But if you can just narrate some incident or some story where it comes out as something which you have solved and it comes out as a problem solving or analytical ability, so that is something which is a huge incentive for the candidate. So this is something which the students can keep in mind while framing the answers. I think we can go to the second question if there are
Yeah,
no
I
doubts in
think,
front.
okay, sure. So the next question in part C is, what type of leadership style do you have? Describe any one instance where you assumed a leadership role. So again, to answer this question, you have to structure. Uh, you need to look upon any situation where you assumed a leadership role. Or let's say if you had any position of responsibility in your college, or during your work time, you were given a task where you had an opportunity to lead a team or even lead a particular task to get it successfully completed. So you need to mention how you function as a leader. What is your thought process, or how do you take the situations when you are a leader and handle it? Okay, so in this, it might be most appropriate if you explain a situation, describe the instance where you assumed a leadership role. So again, clarifying that this should not be restricted to the professional domain. There might be a situation that even in your family, if there is a crisis and you assumed a leadership role to resolve it, or you had to carve out some innovative solution to solve that problem. So you can even mention that type of instances in this question. So I think this is all for the leadership style question.
I
So
think
do we
I
have
think
any
we
questions in
yeah,
this?
I think we have missed a question. I don't know from Richik, if I'm not wrong. So he has asked about what knowledge we should have. Like business news would suffice, or we should have knowledge of trade laws, WTOs, geopolitics, and all, while appearing for IFT interviews. But I think in IFT interviews, you also have like extempore before your interviews. So there you should have knowledge regarding pretty much knowledge about everything. Like you should, they might ask you about NMIMS also. They might suddenly ask you about like very tough geopolitical issues going on currently. They might ask you some abstract topics. So definitely you should have knowledge. And in the interviews also, there would be professor who are from trade. So they might ask you about some kind of FTAs which are going on. So they can ask you. So you should be prepared pretty much.
Yeah, so I think we can move on to the third question.
Yeah, so third question basically asks you about the importance of geopolitical issues and the impact of it on international trade. And you have been, I think, asked to elucidate with the recent example. So I think there was a similar question last year as well. And to answer to this question, I think you can just explain how geopolitical events are directly related with trade, and even if there is some impediments in one or two countries, let's say for example, if there is any tariff imposed by US on China, so how could that be an issue with the global supply chain? So you need not cover all the geopolitical issues. So for there are, I mean, a lot of events that are going around. You can just mention about EFTA, and there is Red Sea crisis which is going on. So candidates, I mean, last year around, I had a dilemma whether to mention an event which is basically being followed by everyone, which was Russia, Ukraine in our case. So I had an option of mentioning that, or I kind of looked up into the newspaper and followed around all the geopolitical events. So was able to, I wanted to differentiate my answer from the from rest of the people. So I clearly, I remember I mentioned something about the Windsor framework, and it was relevant to US, I mean the UK post Brexit. So that kind of I read everything about that, and that I mentioned in my CV form. So I the whole point was to differentiate my answer, um, and I would advise all the aspirant is to, even if you are even if you want to mention Red Sea crisis or any widely followed event, you can get into the nitty-gritties. I mean, you can just look into what impact would be on what impact it would be causing on the prices of the imported goods, or whether there'll be an increase in the insurance, or the routes which will be followed by the companies. So these kind of a thorough understanding about the events is very much required if you are going to mention one example. So yeah, I think this could be something which you can look upon to. And I think, yeah, if anyone wants to add anything to this question, would be appreciated.
So taking up one of the questions, uh, is there any difference between IIFT interview and other B schools interview? So you can consider around 70 to 80% of the interview part stays the same, the preparation stays same. But one of the major difference here is that because IFT offers specialization in international business, so you can expect questions which are focused on, let's say, trade, geopolitical issues, and what is your understanding on it. So you should be prepared with some of the basic news that is going on. The You can brush up for the international affairs. So let's say, for example, looking at the international affairs, you can read upon topics like the uh, Israel, the conflict in Gaza, the Russia-Ukraine war, or you can also touch upon some of the major elections that are going to happen in the world this year. So these are some of the broader topics that you can consider, and you should also have a basic understanding of the business and industries overview. So one of the interesting questions which was asked to me during my interview was, if you were to invest in a company, what would be the factors that you would consider? So you should be prepared for such kind of questions. One more interview question I remember, which was asked to me was, what is exactly gig economy, and what do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of it? So I believe you should brush upon basic business concepts, and you should read upon the business news more frequently, so that whenever you read the business news, you get to understand what is happening in the industry. And the questions are somehow framed that you might feel these are static questions, but they are majorly based on the current affairs news that are happening. So for example, uh, at that time, I was working at L&T Infotech, and my company had merged with Mindtree to form a combined entity of LTI Mindtree. So this was the news. So many times I was asked interview questions about merger and acquisitions. What is the need? How they happen? So you might feel these are some type of static questions, but they root up from the current affairs. So if you brush up and prepare well for the current affairs, it definitely helps you for all the for answering many of the interview questions.
I'd like to add some to the knowledge already dispelled here by Mayank and my colleague Diva. Like, since this is a point of uh, where IFT interviews get different from other MBA interviews, this is the part where they are asking you about international affairs, trade, and this relations with other countries and geopolitics, wherein you might get a thought of how you can differentiate here. They both have shared their own experiences of what they were being asked. For example, I would like to say that in geopolitics, it is a very vast area, but if you think FTA is something that is a must, you should be thorough with FTA. I mean, the foreign trade policy, whichever is the latest one, and you need to be able to spot the trends of what the government is saying. For example, I was also asked from the trade policy about the exports and imports. They were asking me questions about specific countries, like who do you think are the top exporters and importers, about like, for example, gold and rice. So just have a knowledge about foreign trade policy in general, then have complete information about what are India's relations with their regional, that is the allies that we have, and then other strong relations in the whole world. I
Uh,
think
See, one more question is there, Rachik again. Does signing of FTS count as geopolitical issue? See, geopolitical issue is something which impact the world. If there is a relation going on between two countries, if it impacts the world as a whole, then it is a geopolitical issue, but or a region. But signing of FTS is definitely a part of international relation, but you can't consider as an issue there. So for issue, you have to be something which is definitely impacting in a negative or a positive way to a big part of the world. That's what I want to clarify here.
Thank you, Prince.
I
So
can see there is one more question asking that, does captaincy in a cricket tournament considered as leadership? So I think Karan, you can take up this question.
Ria, can you reiterate the question again?
So the question is, in the leadership, can we talk about our captainship in cricket or in any other extracurricular tournaments or sports, let's say?
So Karan is the
In
right guy to answer this because Karan is the goalkeeper of team IIFT and he's quite a good
And
goalkeeper
he's the
as far.
most enthusiastic among us in the sports.
well, okay. In this, you are thinking this on the line of leadership. Well, you can do that, but generally it is not uh, not very recommended to have that as your core or backbone of leadership. You should have other aspects of it, and they will eventually ask you about other different things too, because this is not a very differentiating factor that not many people would not have done. But this can be one of your basis points to continue your answer with.
So Joydeep, what you can do is, if you have achieved any significant achievement in your like duration of captainship in cricket, you can highlight that part, and then you can say that like the thing which happened with your team, like you succeeded because you were a captain, and then you can continue the story there so that it can portray that you are a good leader and you have a sense of ownership there. So that's how you can put it if you want to put it. And sports is something which is like widely discussed in interviews. So it will really help you if you portray it in a good manner.
Biswajit, can you continue your answer with the aspect? I mean, I have received one more comment that leading a team in national tournament. So I think yes, that is significant, and then you can start
Mhm.
this as your starting point. But any other views, Biswajit?
So like see, ownership and accountability are two things, because as a captain you like own the team, like you are in position of the team. So that's where you have to be responsible, and you are accountable for lose, either you lose or either you win. So that's why you can play a gamble there. You can see, no matter how you did in your finals or semifinals, if you won the match or if you lost it, but that's the end story. But how you got there is something which they might be interested in hearing into. So explain that part, explain the good part.
Okay, so we have one more question here asking to I think this is one of the most important questions and the first question uh, one of the first or second question asked in every interview, that is why MBA. So can anyone take up this question for the benefit
uh,
of the audience?
Sure, yes, but like if I take the question, then I believe I will be having a skewed answer, because I come from a background of 2 year work ex. So for me, like I explained it in such a manner that MBA will give me a holistic view of the business world, because I have done my part in engineering. I have worked with Shell, Royal Dutch Shell, and I say that even if I want to grow in that field, even if I want to grow in plant engineering, and if I want to lead teams, so even for that, I need an MBA eventually after a few years. Then why not do it now rather than doing an MBA after a few years? Definitely, experience is one of the great teacher, but the opportunity cost of that experience is something which didn't make sense to me. So that's why I did an MBA. I chose to do an MBA, that too in international business, because businesses are going global. So there are no boundaries for a business. So that's why an MBA degree in IB especially, and that's how I curated my answer.
Uh,
We've received
Adding
one
on to
more
this,
question of importance. Sorry to cut you. You can continue, Yash.
yeah, I just want to mention, adding on to this, the perspective might differ for different people. Like fresher might have different sort of structured answer to this as compared to experienced people. So freshers can play this to their advantage, that they want to learn different business aspects, and they are not exactly required to have a vision as which domain they want to choose. But let's say you have one plus years of experience in the industry, then you are expected to have a domain preference as to why you want to pursue MBA and in which domain, and your answer should align to that domain. So let's say you are working in XYZ domain or industry currently. So there is one of a good answer that you want to switch. Most of the people want to switch their domain or industry. So you can mention that you want to switch to this domain, and you can have supporting claims like you had interest in this and this is how you carried forward your interest. So you want to pursue MBA because this will help you to get into this domain. And for people with linear profile, like I had a computer science degree and a IT work experience. I just mentioned that because of my profile, I have an interest in the product management domain. So an MBA will help me to have the business understanding and uh, give me an industry exposure where I can get into the top management level at the industry to create impact. So this is how you can structure your why MBA question. I think we can move to the next questions.
Yeah, Yash. So there is one more question from Siddhant Maheshwari, who recently turned 20. Siddhant, first of all, congratulations on being 20 and getting a call from IFT. So you are currently in your third year economics and often grilled on why MBA as a fresher. Any insights? So like, would anyone like to take the question? If you have any relevant answers, so please can you take it, or I may continue.
Well, you may continue, but I'll follow through you.
Okay, so as a fresher and if you have a background of economics, IFT is a college of trade, so it is known for trade, and there are few legacy recruiters who like give 8-digit, 9-digit salaries in your final placements. So definitely economics is something which is completely oriented about trade. So you can play your hand there because you are a fresher. You can say that you can bring new perspective to table because a company can't run with only experienced people, right? You need a new mindset. You need a new channel to open up about may it be marketing, may it be trade, may it be finance. So you need freshers everywhere. You need a new insightful mind who can think differently, who can go out of the way. You can say that you are that mind. So you are perfectly fit to get into the MBA degree of IIFT because you are from economics background, you have your interest in trade and global economics. And that's how you can put, even you can try to put macroeconomics and microeconomics into place. You can say that you are eager to learn it and how economics can gel with the business side of things. So you are eager to learn that, and that's why you are trying to pursue an MBA. And they may say that you should get an experience first, then you can go for an MBA. Like that's a tricky question because they want to see how you tackle it. So to tackle this, you can say that definitely even after doing an job with XYZ company, like it doesn't guarantee that you will get a role of your preferred choice. And if you have to do an MBA later, then why not now? And there are professors and there are peer groups from which you can learn. And a college like IFT has a lot to give, then you can take. So that's how you can answer. So Karan, you can continue.
Sure, Vishwajit, thank you. So, Siddhant, is it right? So you said that you are coming from an economics background. Most of us are engineers here, but had that been the case that we were freshers too while joining an MBA, we still would have found instances from our life which would have helped us propagate the idea that we still have some point of decision making when that instance showed us that we want to propel into kind of a management career, and you can use your instances. For example, like I use that I was general secretary and cultural head, and this kind of position of responsibilities as many of you might have had in your colleges. And then you can use your instances when you felt that uh, the managing things and this aspect of you made you realize that you can build up this thing up on your technical side. So this is just one example, and you are obviously from an economics, that is a commerce background, which which has more substance in their answer than an engineer might have in their answer. So maybe you're giving this lot more thought than you actually ought to.
Okay, so we now have an interesting question at our hand. So, any insights about the placements at IIFT and also shed some light about the case competition culture at IIFT? So, I can take up the case competitions part. So, if you check on the Unstop, IIFT is one of the most ranked first from last 3 years as the most competitive B schools. So here at IIFT, we have a culture of attempting case competitions and also winning it. So apart from just the academics and curriculum, we focus on solving real life skills. And to be very honest, nowadays recruiter do not just focus on the academics. They want more from the candidates. They want to see as a person what skills they have, what they have achieved. And here at IIFT, the culture of winning case competition, participating, and motivating each other for attempting the case competitions, go through it is, I think, one of the biggest differentiators from any other B schools. Like we I think that might be a stretch, but I think we attend more case competitions than the subjects that we appear in our academics. So, and not only just appearing, we actually win it at national levels, at zonal levels. So, if someone can also share light on the case competition culture or even talk about the placements. Actually, to continue, even case competition are one of the best way to get opportunity to get into companies for placements. Like I myself had gotten a PPI through case competition, so it helped me during my placements. So this is one of the most important aspects where companies which are not directly reachable through campus, which don't open their opportunities directly through campus, you can target through the case competitions. You can get opportunities like PPIs and PPOs. So this culture, I believe, differentiates IIFT from the some of the comparable B schools.
And coming for placements, I believe recently the summary report is out and you guys can check it. So there are around 50 plus offers that are above 4 lakhs. So it is a significant number that we have achieved this year, and going forward it will definitely grow. So the average has also like increased by around 8 to 10%, I guess. So I'm not sure about it, but you can go through the reports and placements. You can compare it with other B schools. So placements are going great here. So think about the learnings that you can achieve from the college, from the case comms and from the peer groups, professors, academia. So that's it.
And just use it like an icing on the cake. That is, competition environment is generally underrated, and many of us use answers like we want to have peer learning and knowledge transfer between the amongst the candidates and amongst the the batchmates that we have. This can also be, I mean, you can use it. This can also be an answer of why MB, why IFT especially, because this really is underrated, but the competition which case competitions ingrain in us is so far underrated, and it is so ingrained that we always get to learn something new from everything we apply here, because there is time constraints there. You can say that it is time management in disguise. Then you also have to do and always come up with new forms of PPTs. It will teach you to bring in different themes, and then it is always the aspect that you are applying all of the concepts of marketing and consulting frameworks that you're reading in your classes. So I think it's a blessing in disguise that none of us might have considered before coming to IFT.
Thank you, Karan. And there are few questions about the interview part, whether if you are an engineer, if you are a eco background candidate, or if you are from BBA, journalism, law. So whether you are an experienced candidate or whether you are fresher, completely new to the market. So both the cases, you will have a few questions regarding your technical aspect of the studies that you have done. And most of us, like here sitting here, will know that, because not that deep, but definitely there are few questions either from surface level or those questions which you can get straight from Quora or Google, like top 100 questions that interviewers can ask in if you do a simple Google search, then definitely you can get. either from mechanical background, CS background, or petroleum engineering background. So be prepared for that. So those questions are similar for every interview. And if you are
Viswajit, we have
And if you are a WorkX candidate, then be prepared to answer a few of the questions from your WorkX background, because they would like to know what role are you in, what is your day in your organization, like how it looks, how your day runs, and what are the achievements that you have done there, you have accomplished there. So those part. So any more
I
questions?
would like to mention a general hygiene check for answering any of the interview or SOP questions. Like whatever that you are mentioning in your, let's say, SOP questions or interview questions, always be thoroughly prepared with everything, any single line you have written or any word that you are using. Because there might be a situation that if you use a word or a line which you are not well prepared with, and if you are grilled on that part, then it might portray a very bad picture of you, that you mentioned something for which you are actually not that well prepared, or you mentioned something which you mentioned that you had done during your work or during your college days, but you are not able to explain it well. So always be prepared thoroughly with any of the parts that you have written in your SOPs or your interview, any of the interview questions.
So I would like to emphasize on what Yash just spoke now. So I would like to say from my experience, from my interview experience, basically, we kind of prepared the same number of questions. It was close to 9 to 10 questions, and I gave a lot of deliberations about what I should write, and finally I gave some answers. But during my actual interview, it stuck to only one question. So they were kind of very much interested to know why I have written that question, and there was a lot of cross questioning as to why you want to do this, and do you really want to do, and does it not contradict with you, or you being willing to join MBA. So it's not that if you have written something, you you might have to explain yourself properly, and the depth into which you have the depth is what they're checking into. Basically what I mean to say is, so suppose you have written something, like you want to you want to work in a finance finance field. So do you have any prior experience, or what is something gives the interviewer that that hook point that you are actually interested into. So if you have done any course or certification related to finance, so that you can show that that basically shows up your interest. So that part has to be there. So I think that is there, you need to consider. It could be around 1 or 2 questions. It could not go down to five questions or 6 questions. So this is what I would like to add to Yash's point. And so also I think we can move to extempore, as it would be the starting point to our interview, because most of the
uh,
questions from part
sorry to cut
A,
you
B,
short,
and
Maya.
C we have. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
okay.
just to add
Go
up
ahead.
to that question, because I was also one of the aspirants who gave my answer as I want to be an MBA graduate and I want to continue my first stream of preference as finance. So I think I might add some value in the answer here. So I also mentioned that I want to continue with finance, and obviously, this being the case that yes, I was not very sure of going here, but this was my first point of line of thought. So about the certifications that you're asking, what can you write? Yes, I did not have any certifications, and yes, as I've already I'm reiterating that I was not from a commerce background. I'm from an engineering and fresher background. So how did I go about it? Because see, I've given them uh, bits of, breadcrumbs. How did I do it? I told them about how I followed stock market and how I know about the intricacies of it, what I've read about valuations, and I told them about different teachers, that is Ashwath Damodaran. also used to follow him on his tweets, his blogs, his YouTube videos. And they will obviously ask you why you do not have any certifications in that area, but you have to have an answer that you were trying. Or uh, the simple fact here is that you have to show that you were dedicated to that, and it may not be a concrete solution, it may not be a concrete certificate, but you have to up their expectations that you have done it, you have done your job, you have basic knowledge, and you can show for it. But it is just due to some circumstances that you do not have concrete validation of it right now, but you will have it in the future. Uh, this should be about it, and it can be done.
So we have an interesting question here. So I'll be combining two, three questions. So how is IFT different from other B schools? How is the college life at IFT? So I think we all can have some of our experiences shared on this platform. Like,
Yes, jumping to this question, like before we jump to this question, let Mayank answer the extemper part because that is the opening part of the interview and it should be clear to everyone who are appearing
sure,
for.
sure.
So Mayank, you can go about.
Yeah, I'll
Also,
take that
apart from
question.
that, just a second, there are questions about placement possibilities and what I can think about getting roles in the college. Actually, we could answer that, we'd love to answer that, but let's just prefer keeping the questions only related to interviews and about the form filling.
Yeah, so moving on to the extempore part, I believe it would be something which will give them the first impression of you. So, covering extempore, the format basically would be the first 1 minute would be given to you by the professors. They will be giving you a topic and basically 30 seconds for you to jot down all the pointers. And you might have to present it for 2 to 3 minutes, giving a proper structure where you introduce or you just lay in what your thoughts about the topic and how you would like to conclude onto the concluding it concluding the topic is very essential. So what are your something which you are looking forward, or what future outlook does the some particular topic comes in? um, so in my case I would like to give that example. So I was asked a very generic topic. It was basically something, how social media is social media really important for you or not, or what are the pros and cons, so something like that was asked. So I would believe just to give you a structure is that you could go about how the pros and cons are of social media is, and the relevance is can you add any current affairs related to that? So in my case, I think I added some real life incidents which occurred during that time. So the crux is to um, try not to one more point, even if you're not comfortable about the topic, you can just ask them for a quick change that may not impact your grading per se. So if you're not at all comfortable with the topic, you can just ask for a quick change. And the whole point is to you being assessed is for the structure. So that is where you need to keep in mind while framing an answer. And also, just one more point before closing this part. For preparation for extempore, I think you can go through the editorial parts of newspaper, where you will see wide coverage of topics. It could be from capital punishment, it could be from finance, it could be from technology, anything that you can cover. And while you are reading the editorial, you can just summarize yourself. I mean, summarize the pointers you have read in 1 or 2 minutes. So that basically gives you a practice of extempore. If anyone wants to give any other pointers regarding to extempore.
Yeah, thank you, Mayank. So, like, there are two frameworks that I have used. Like, first one is the PESTEL framework. Like, you can Google search it. Like, PESTEL stands for political, economic, social, and like technology, legal part. So, you can use your PESTEL framework or the 3W and 1H framework. Like, when, where, who, and then how. So keep in mind to like progress your answer in a standardized manner. Like tell about the history of the topic, if there is any history, tell about the current situation, tell about how you think about the current situation and go about the future. So you can structure it in a time series manner or pastel way, like different topics will have different approaches. So keep in mind these approaches, it will be really helpful. You can Google search it, pastel framework or the 3W1H framework or the time series framework. Like time series framework like doesn't exist, but you can create a time series in your explanation by connecting the past, current and future perspective.
Okay, so moving on, we have a question. Do interviews go deep in academics if one has 1.5 years of experience? So, can anyone take this up?
Yeah, I think I can. I will be the right person to give the answer for this. So in my case, I had roughly close to 16 months. So that basically boils down to 1.5. Um, in my case, I was not asked any questions related to the academic per se, like my engineering per se, but I was asked some questions or some structure to what were you doing during your work experience, what was your role about, and one more point is that very famous question which will be asked or may you have to be prepared for that is what are your were you in a leadership capacity in any manner? So it need not be a managerial kind of thing, but even while leading a team. So were you leading any project or were you being a part of it? How did you contribute to that? So these kind of things could be added. And one more part is that it need not be it can be a case where freshers could be there, so they could just list down their I mean their POR aspect where they have worked in teams or where they have contributed to the to make sure the event per se is conducted smoothly throughout the period. So I think these points could be added, and it was not specific to the UG academics part which was asked to me.
I would like to add to this point. So, you should always brush up. It's a hygiene check to brush up on your academics because you never know who might be your panelist. Let's say you have a commerce background and your panelist is a faculty in finance. So there is a good chance that they might deep dive in some of the finance concept or what you have learned during your graduation in commerce. So it's always a hygiene check to cover your academics at least at a basic level. You should have a good understanding of not specific subjects but overall. So I think that is it.
I think one question which Richik has, he asks is, can we ask for clarification on the extempore topic given? Yeah, I think they'll repeat the topic given to you once or twice, and in case which should not be the case is what I'm expecting or is what I'm thinking. If you are blank or if you cannot think about that topic, any points which doesn't come to your mind, then you can ask for replacement. But I don't think that should be the case because if you are covering the current affairs only properly, that should be sufficient to speak about the topic for 2 to 3 minutes.
So moving on to the next question, we have, are IFT Delhi and Kolkata placements combined?
So like these placement questions are like definitely answerable, but we will refrain to answer these questions right now. But yeah, they are combined. And I believe you should ask more questions regarding to your interviews and CV pointers, like how you
So
plan to prepare for them.
just giving a glimpse of the placement. So yeah, we do have a pool placements for IFT Delhi and Kolkata campuses, but uh, there are a few legacy companies which prefer a particular prefer a legacy campus. So this we can move forward to the next question. How is the college life at IFT, and how is IFT different from other B schools?
Vince, would you like to share your experience, or Mayank?
Actually, for the experience at the college IIFT campus, I would say most of the time I spend my, even whole night or the late nighters I've pulled off at the campus. That's my memory till now. And even at the and to have some chill, I go to the Nest Cafe stall. That's what I do. That's the two thing I love doing at the IIFT campus.
So like the library services are on up till 3 a.m. in the morning. You can use them. And coming to the campus part, like you can use the classrooms till like 2 or 2:30, I guess. And even if you request for an extension, then the guards will allow you to stay in the campus or classrooms. The hostels are within the campus, so there is no issue for logistics as per se. And like you can explore the campus once you get here. But from our experience, like we would say it's pretty much the same everywhere. So wherever there is a residential program, and the offerings are same for every other colleges.
I think one thing I would like to mention is that the thing which differentiates IFT from other colleges is the uh, culture at student culture at IFT. So we have a very vibrant college life. So even in this trimester, as we have continuously activities going on, so we are putting up all-nighters and we have activities lined up every day. So we have sports event going on. We have event between the seniors and the juniors because the seniors would be leaving soon. We had a farewell party. So the we are packed with all the events and we really do enjoy the college life here. And one aspect which also separates IFT from, I believe, the comparable B schools is the uh, culture of the placement committee. So I think this is one of the factors which is not much talked upon, but uh, the culture of placements is very toxic in most of the B schools, as you might be looking some posts on social media as how the behavior is, what challenges the student face during that phases of placements. But I can say with lot of confidence that the process here at IFT is very much positive. It's not toxic. Like our the batch here at IFT, we always try to help and support each other. There is like my colleagues can testify to this as we had the one of the most positive environment here. We always have each other's back. And I think this creates a major impact because most of the aspirants here are coming for placements. So if you have someone at your back, having your back during the placements and a positive environment, then it creates a whole lot of difference. And I think that is testament to the placement figures at IIFT. If you see, there is a constant increase in the placement statistics here with a complete balanced overview of the domains that companies visit at IFT. So I think that is all about the culture at IFT.
Can take a couple more questions before wrapping up the session. I think there is one relevant question here about the form, that is from Gautam Narnavade. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. He says that he's done a bit of freelance writing for IPL, but he doesn't have much documentation to support it. Is it worth mentioning? Well, I'd say that freelance writing for IPL is worth mentionable, but since you don't have documentation for it, you can't have your basis and put it anywhere in the form. But you can use it as an experience in interview for sure. Yash can light on what your situation is.
I think,
Uh,
yeah, yes, if you want to go ahead.
no, no, you can continue.
So with respect to this problem, I think there is one question where it mentions that you can where do you want to mention something which is not mentioned so far. I think it is in part C. Last question, if I'm not wrong. Any other information that you have not mentioned before, and you may consider relevant to it. So I think it fits well in this section where you can. Like where you can explain how the experience about freelancing and the event around it, you can mention about that. I don't think you need to mention how it created a difference, or maybe a talking point or a differentiating factor which could be worth mentioning. So you have to make sure that it comes out well to the interviewer. In that manner, I think you can mention it there.
So like I guess most of the questions are answered, and I can't see any more new questions here. So I believe we can wrap it up, guys. So if there are no more questions coming up, so
There are
yeah.
still any more questions, you can put them in the chat box and the team can answer it for you even after the live session has ended.
Yeah, so any more questions if you have, like if you have any specific questions that you think you might need help upon and support upon, then you can put it in the comment section, and Inside IIM team will get back to you soon. So yeah, that's it from our side. So thank you all. Thank you for all those people who will be watching it later.
Looking
All
forward
the
to meet you
best.
guys at the campus. All the best, everyone. I think we can wrap up.